Hey guys, I'm here with video 19. Video 19 is going to deal with kingdoms, and it should be quick and easy. When we look at it, there are actually 5 kingdoms: Moneran, Protists, fungi, plants, and animals. Some people will actually break Monarans down into 2 kingdoms, which you'll see on the last slide of divisions, and say there are 6 kingdoms instead of 5. So don't get confused if that happens. Now let's go over each one and just look at a few characteristics. First of all, Monarans are all prokaryotic. Very important. That is a distinguishing characteristic of Monarans, is that they are prokaryotic. And if you remember, prokaryotic means they have no nucleus. Now if you do not have a nucleus, then you always have to be unicellular. So these two things go hand in hand. They're microscopic. I would dare say that none of you have ever seen a Monaran with your naked eye before. You might have seen pictures of one or seen them on a microscope. I have a picture down in the bottom right hand corner of anthrax. But bacteria are an example of Monarans as well. And they appeared about 3.5 billion years ago. So they've been around a long time. The second kingdom is Protist, or you might hear it called Protista. The picture is up here in the upper right-hand corner, which is of an amoeba. Most protists are single-celled, but they can be unicellular. But the key here is they are eukaryotic. Now remember what eukaryotic means. Eukaryotic means they have a nucleus. Now if they have a nucleus, they can be multicellular or unicellular. They live in moist environments, so they have to stay in moist environments. They're kind of a link between the ocean and the land. And they appeared about 1 billion years ago. Fungi are the third kingdom. The best example is a mushroom. Now, a lot of people think mushrooms are plants, but they're not. They're fungi. And the reason not, the key thing about being a fungi is that they are heterotrophic, which means they eat other organisms. So a mushroom, for example, is not photosynthetic. It's not a plant. It's also eukaryotic, means it has a nucleus. It can be multicellular and unicellular. So the big key, I've mentioned it twice, I'll mention it one more time, is fungi are not plants. They are heterotrophic, so they eat other organisms, and they are eukaryotic. Alright? Third kingdom is plants, and we know a lot of different plants. The key component here is that plants are photosynthetic, which means they produce their own food. They're autotrophic, which is synonymous. They're stationary. They don't move around from place to place. They usually stay where they are. They're eukaryotic and multicellular. There's not very many single-celled plants that I can think of anyway. And a key characteristic is they have a cell wall made of cellulose. Now remember, OSC means it has a sugar base, and their cell wall is kind of a hardened structure. So if I was to draw a cell, it would have a plasma membrane, and the cell wall would be on the outside, the plasma membrane would be on the inside. This cell wall is what plants have that animals do not. And that leads us to the last kingdom, animals. Animals are eukaryotic. I didn't write that up here, but they are eukaryotic. So let me write that. They're eukaryotic, which means they have a nucleus. They're multicellular. Heterotrophic means they eat other organisms. And they have no cell wall. So I guess that's a characteristic they lack. Most of them move. There are a few that are sessile, which means they're stationary. Barnacles would be one there. I have a picture of a duckbill platypus over here because he's kind of an unusual creature. Alright, now if you look at the kingdoms here, you've got the 5 kingdoms I just mentioned. One of them is in a different color, Monaran. And the reason it's in a different color is because it's the only prokaryotic kingdom. All of the other 4 kingdoms are eukaryotic. So that's kind of how they're separated into branches. Alright. Now, there's a newer classification that's really come around in the last 10 years or so of how to break prokaryotes down into 2 different domains. Now, the reason scientists did this is because there were more Monarans in the world than there are all the other 4 kingdoms combined. So they thought it was kind of necessary to break the Monaran kingdom down. And they broke the Monaran kingdom down into 2 domains, the domain bacteria and the domain archaea. So both of these used to be the kingdom Monaran. Now they're broken down into 2 domains. And like I said, sometimes you'll hear people say they have 6 kingdoms. If they do, they're breaking Monaran into bacteria and archaea bacteria. And the third domain is actually eukarya. And eukarya includes the other 4 kingdoms. So Nowadays we only have 3 domains: bacteria and archaea make monarans, and then the other 4 kingdoms, plant, animal, fungi, and protists, are encompassed in eukarya. And you can figure out what eukarya means. It means they're eukaryotic, right? So they have a nucleus. This will be on the test, by the way. I hope you had an understanding of the kingdoms now, and have a good day.